race and racism in the Washington Post, and the New York Times, and USA Today jumped by more than 700%. So the official message was really clear. You've got problems, and white men cause those problems. The white guys are taking all the money and the perks for themselves, and they're holding everyone else down. Now, to this day, you hear that constantly, including from Joe Biden. It's the most divisive possible message. It's also, factually speaking, a lie. According to federal statistics, white men aren't even close to the richest group in the United States. Indian Americans, Chinese Americans, Filipinos, Koreans, Indonesians, among others, all have much higher median household incomes than whites. So the story is not only destructive of the social fabric, it's not even true. The actual fault line in American life is not color, it's money. The real problem isn't racism, it's wealth distribution. A small number of people, smaller every year, have become richer than anyone else in history. Meanwhile, the rest of the country is stagnated. If you don't believe it, drive out 20 miles from the city center and see how people are doing. So if the population understood this, that effectively it's an economic scam, it's got nothing to do with racism or transgenders, the population would be pretty mad about that. Joe Biden and his donors fear that. They don't want you to think about economics. They prefer to keep you paralyzed by guilt and shame. And if that doesn't work, they'd rather be worried about Ukraine. Ukraine is the real scandal. Our economic problems are Putin's fault. Watch Joe Biden.
I'm doing everything within my power by executive orders to bring down the price and address the Putin price hike. In fact, we've already made progress since March inflation data was collected. Your family budget, your ability to fill up your tank, none of it should hinge on whether a dictator declares war and commits genocide a half a world away.
So this is their last desperate talking point, and it's highly familiar to anyone who's watched American politics for the last 6 years. Putin did it! But it's ridiculous, and we feel there's always a moral obligation to rebut it with facts. This chart clearly shows it. Here are several core measures of inflation. They go back to 2011. You notice that all of those measures began spiking in what year? 2021, right after Joe Biden took office. It was the spending that did it. He's not the only one who spent too much, but he spent the most. Now, Biden could claim the spike started this February, and the media would probably protect him. But things have gotten so obvious, economic decline being the one thing you really can't hide because people feel it every single day, that the media are beginning to stop defending it. Watch this.
The White House says those price jumps are happening because of the war and what they call, quote, Putin's price hike. But remember, prices started spiking well before the war in Ukraine began.
And every time we talk about gas prices, Democrats do, President Biden does, it's always Putin's price hike. They're trying to blame, of course, the Russian president and the invasion of Ukraine for the jump in prices. But, of course, as polling suggests, this president is going to take a lot of the blame here.
Biden has called it a Putin price hike, but most Americans aren't buying it.
Despite what President Biden says, inflation was a major concern way before Putin's invasion.
So no one's buying it because everyone understands the most simple principle in all economics, which is supply and demand. If you create a lot more money, the money loses its value, obviously. And yet this administration proposes spending even more money at a scale that this country has never seen. The founder of FedEx, Fred Smith, summed it up this way, quote, had we passed the Build Back Better bill that Biden wanted, my guess is that we would be Weimar Germany right now. We'd have 25% inflation rather than 9 or 10%. That's all very obvious, and again, you don't need to be running the Fed to understand it. Joe Biden may be the only person who doesn't understand. In this case, he gets a pass because in Joe Biden's head, he's far away. He's somewhere else. Yesterday, for example, Biden was fumbling through questions about foreign policy when a staffer in an Easter Bunny costume appeared out of nowhere and led him away. Is that bad now? How bad is it? Here is Biden in one of the saddest moments of his or any other presidency. This is from last week. Watch.
There's not a single thing America can't do when we do it together as the United States of America. God bless you all.
Shake imaginary hands wandering off into the great distance. So the one thing we can say with certainty about the White House in the spring of 2022 is that Joe Biden is not running it. Joe Biden is gone. In his place are unelected ideologues, people who do not care what the price of gas is, They don't care if you can afford dinner at Applebee's with your kids. They don't care even if war with Russia could cause the destruction of entire populations. Those things are not interesting to them. They care about theories, not reality. So improving the life of Americans, elevating the American population, doesn't even rate on their scale of concerns. It's a pure afterthought. Now, we've known that for a while. They've been in charge for a while. And that's been sustainable as long as everyone's getting a check, as long as everyone feels like I've got enough money. But the second the economy turns south, the calculation changes completely. Everything is different in a country that believes it's becoming poor. The short-term effect is a peaceful revolt by voting. So you can be certain of this. If there are free and fair elections this November, neoliberalism will be swept away entirely, revealed as the joke it is. So the thing to worry about right now is not public opinion. Public opinion is settled. Nobody likes this. The thing to worry about right now is voting, the mechanics of voting. If the public is allowed to express its preference in the midterms, we're done. But will they be allowed? That should be the thing people are paying attention to.